morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and together with David, this morning we are talking about creating and maintaining soulful connections. And again, we can't make this stuff up. This is such a perfect week to have this conversation. It was written in the fabric of creation, and we've been destined to talk about it since the beginning of time. But seriously, in light of everything that's happening in the world and the divisiveness and the division that's taking place, we feel it's really important to have the conversation about how to connect and who to connect with, especially when it's so easy to feel alone or isolated or, mistreated and all the excuses we could use. As we said last week, this is a potentially one of the most positive weeks of the year if we know how to take advantage of it. So that's what we'll be talking about today. Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast where we provide the most powerful and practical tools for our listeners to navigate the coming 7 days through sharing wisdom and tools from Kabbalah. Inevitably, our listeners walk away with life lessons that can be used and tools that can be used at any time. And because this week has the additional influence of the new moon of Capricorn together with Hanukkah and the weekly energy, we have a lot to talk about, but very much focused on connecting with other people. And I think that in general, spirituality seems a very individualized process, right? It seems like, I'm on my path and you're on your path, or part of my spiritual work, as we talked about last week, is to shut out the noise and create those boundaries between me and others. And I think one of the things that also happens when you're on a spiritual journey is there's relationships that fall out or fall through because you're no longer in alignment with those people, or what you had in common is no longer there anymore. So the question really is, how do we choose and create and maintain? So it's not only about picking the right people and the right partners, it's also about continuing the circuitry, the energy, and the connection in them. And I also want to make sure that we talk about the power of having a tribe, having an environment of people around us that support us unconditionally, and how to create that.
Okay, this is one of my favorite weeks energetically because, we have the whole energy of redemption in this sport. Is really the vibration of this week. And what I've learned on this path that is so powerful is that one of the reasons why our process takes such a long time, and many of us are going through a process right now. And by definition, that means an area of your life that is unfulfilled and you're anticipating something to happen to make you feel better. The process can, at any moment, come to an end. It's not taking a long time because there's a time limit on it. It's taking a long time because our consciousness hasn't yet shifted to the vibration that the problem has already been solved. And so to the extent that we can have the certainty that in the blink of an eye, I can shift to that reality where my redemption, my salvation, my answer to my question, my solution to my problem, my remedy to my pain can come in any moment. It's to that extent that we will not be able to tap into it if I believe that it must take a long time. And this is a belief system that we all are born with, that things must take time. We spoke about it last week, that the whole idea of time is totally disconnected from the energy of the light of the Creator. Anything that must take time means that I am not connected to the light of the Creator. Now, of course, people will say, well, what do you mean? Everything takes time. I want something, I don't get to have it right away. I want a relationship, I don't get to have it right away. It's not about the relationship or the money or the wisdom that you're going to get. It's about first realizing that we will never get something unless we already have it. It's a very deep concept. the energy of this universe is such that it will only come to us when it has an affinity of form with us. The only way to get a relationship is to already feel that you have a relationship. The only way to have abundance is to feel that you are abundant, which means that I am now deciding to connect to that energy. I don't need to wait for that energy to come to me. And this was the whole power, biblically, from the great soul of Joseph, from the Old Testament, that even though it looked from the outside that he was going through a process, this process was just one moment. He felt no pain. It looks like he went through pain, but he did not go through pain. And so the question for all of us is, are we in a state of pain? Are we in a state of waiting? Are you waiting for something? Are you waiting for your salvation? Are you waiting for your fulfillment? Are you waiting for an apology? Are you waiting for that check to come? Are you waiting for a text message response? If you are in the game of waiting, so you're not aligned with the light of the Creator, and we are just strengthening the part of us that is like the reactive mind, the reactive system. So this is the week that we can draw energy from above to support this new consciousness, which is I dictate how I feel. Not I am now waiting for something external to determine how I feel.
What's interesting to me, and again, this happens a lot. I don't know why I don't get used to it already, but you used a word that is something I wanted to talk about.
Correct.
Unexpected.
Because we don't plan this.
Because we don't plan this, or we may individually plan it, but we don't discuss. David used the word alignment. And alignment is a real important word in the conversation, in any conversation about other people and us, because I think even when it comes to dating, forget about friendships for a second, but even when it comes to dating, I think a lot of people think, what do we agree on? If we have enough things that we agree on, we're a match. Or, we dread family gatherings because we don't agree with our family's views or our siblings' views. And the reality is, you're never going to agree with everybody on everything, and you're probably not going to agree with most people about most things. The goal is not agreement, it's alignment. And what do I mean by that? And it's such a powerful, powerful concept. I actually was totally inspired by this, this idea. I went to the airport a couple weeks ago, and I can't remember the name of the app, but it was promoting finding your goal mate and not your soulmate. And I love that. Whoever thought of that, with it, presenting it that way, is a genius. It's some app where instead of describing yourself, you talk about your goals and you're matched up by alignment in your goals, which is really the recipe for not only a successful relationship, but also a successful friendship. You don't have to both love chocolate or vanilla. You don't have to both be Republican or Democrat. But if you are aligned in what's important to you, there is foundation for growth. And I think that that's one of the things that happens when a person begins a spiritual journey, is that when other people in our lives aren't on a spiritual journey, it starts feeling like you can't share things with them, like they're not going to understand, or maybe the conversation at work that you used to totally chime in with, now it seems superficial and shallow and meaningless. So part of what the shift that the universe is asking us to take this week is to nurture the connections that are in alignment and to allow the unwinding of the connections that are not in alignment. And what happens is, when you start to do that, you realize how much or how important the exchange of energy is between you and other people. And we talked about this before. A lot of people, you don't have to be physically in a room to have an energy exchange with someone. You're texting with them, and it's an exchange of energy. You're commenting on someone's post, it's an exchange of energy. You're talking about someone else. You're talking about person A to person B. You don't even realize you're exchanging energy with both of them, even though one of them is not in the room. So having a heightened awareness about what we're aligned with and not aligned with, and being willing to shed the relationships and the connections that are not in alignment is also part of having a stronger connection to the light.
Yeah, why do you feel that is that when I remove someone who is not aligned with my energy, it is helping me connect with the light of the Creator? Well, why not have a lot of people around us and maybe we need to help them, or that's all part of my correction process? Are you saying that we should be removing people from our immediate atmosphere who is not aligned with our energy?
I think that depends, right? I wouldn't give a blanket answer to that. I think I'm definitely not saying you should isolate yourself, right? We talked a little bit about being able to step away or step aside from things last week. This is not about isolation. This is being what's the word? Discretionary? Discerning. That's the word. Thank you. Being more discerning about your inner circles. And I'm multiple, right? Because you may have one person who's in your innermost circle, maybe two. And then as you get out in those concentric circles, the numbers can increase. We're talking about those deep and meaningful soulful experiences. I don't want anybody who's listening to this podcast to go to work tomorrow and divulge their innermost secrets to their cubicle mate just because we talked about having more soulful conversations today. It's really about what I mean. You know what? I imagine a huge office like
25 years ago.
Exactly, with actual phones with cords and everything. That's what and somebody pops their head up and shouts at everyone. That's what I imagine.
Like from The Office.
Exactly. Well, no, The Office is relatively small. I was thinking like Air. Did you see Air?
I did not see
the Nike office.
Oh, I did.
So
yes, I got it.
That's my vision,
I got it.
Anyway, a little bit
I want to add to that because I think people ask this question a lot. Who do I keep around? Who I not? Because, for example, if I had to look at your day and the people that you meet and spend time with, odds are by more than 50% of the people you interact with are of a vibration or consciousness that maybe you would find to be questionable. And that's primarily because you're having one-on-one coaching sessions, and these are people who are going through challenging situations. These are not people who maybe you are friends with or you are intimate with. These are people who are just starting out on their spiritual journey and they need your help and support. So why is Elisheva spending so much time with them? And what Kabbalah explains, which is so profound, is that when we depend on someone for something, when we need something from someone, that is when we absorb their energy and their consciousness. However, if I'm making a decision, I'm here to add value, not to take, this becomes immunity and a protection shield against losing your energy and absorbing their negative energy. To some extent, we're still constantly affected by people's consciousness, especially within what the sages say is an 88-inch radius around us. This is our aura. This is our energy field. So no matter what, when someone enters that, it will affect us. It reminds me of I went to a basketball game the other day, and there's this aisleway that is where the players sit and then where the fans sit. And you have to kind of walk down this alleyway to get anywhere, go to the bathroom or, get from one place to another. If you stand in the aisleway for more than 3 seconds, security tackles you. But you have to always be moving. You have to be moving. And it's a very interesting thing. They do not want anyone standing near the players. Now, you can walk by the players, but you cannot stand near the players, right? Because obviously, for whatever security reason it is, and it kind of reminds me of in the real world, someone who is negative consciousness can walk by you. But the moment they stand by you for seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you start to absorb their consciousness. And this is something we need to be very cognizant of. So what I try to do before I walk into an event, a networking thing, a dinner, a party, where I know I'm going to be meeting people I've never met before, is I close my eyes and I meditate that I am here to be like the light of the Creator. So whatever agendas I have, I need to hand those agendas to the Creator, allow the Creator to fulfill them. I always say I invoice the Creator for my needs, and instead I will go in to be of value. Being of value is another level of spiritual work. Probably could have a whole podcast on that, because if I give someone something they don't have the desire to receive or they did not want to receive, I'm no longer giving. I'm now overflowing their cup, and I'm causing chaos in their lives. So another prayer or meditation is what is needed here that is right for the souls of these people.
So I want to stop you there because I don't want you to get too far of an amazing point you made, and I couldn't have paid you more to make it. I think really what we're talking about today is who you let give you energy and support. I don't want to imply or insinuate. We're talking about limiting who you share with. Because yes, if you examine my day, I am in constant giving mode and I'm not very discerning. I mean, I'm a little bit discerning, right? I'm not walking up to the barista at Starbucks and giving them a lecture. My day is strategically planned so that I am able to support and share with X amount of people every day in the form of personal coaching or classes.
Correct.
I don't want to limit that except to make sure that the people that I'm meeting with have a vessel.
Correct.
Right? That they like you said, they want something.
Correct.
I can provide it. And that thing that they're looking for, I hope to be able to provide. I think we're more taught the filtration system we want to inspire everyone to create is more, who do we allow to give to us? Who do we receive from? And how do we nurture, meaning you also don't want to be a taker in those relationships. And that my close friend relationships, if I'm honest, I'm quite disappointed at how much I get and how I lack the opportunity to receive. But like you said, busy person, I don't have a lot of free time and social time.
Are you saying that you're surprised at how little you receive from your friends?
No, the opposite. Yeah. I feel like I don't have enough opportunity to give back to the people who support me.
I see.
And that's something, I'm working on. But my point is more that you want to refine the support you receive and be less discerning about the light you share.
I understand.
So I think the challenge or the confusion that a lot of people, I literally can see the messages coming to us after episodes where we've touched on this before, and people say, well, what if you're in a relationship with someone who's narcissistic? Should you keep giving them? Kabbalah talks about sharing. Should you keep giving them? Or,
they give them their suitcase and don't let the door hit their ass on the way out.
I know. I remember.
Part of giving is setting boundaries, right?
Right. 100%. Another question I remember someone asking is that their parents supported them all their lives, paid for their education, helped them get on their feet. And they feel this sense of owing that's almost burdensome. Yes. But how can they ever give back an education and, protection and food and, everything that their parents gave? This, I think the bigger awareness here, and I'm going to step into David's role. David usually is responsible for giving all the high level, deep consciousness. It's really that the goal, as in every episode, we say the same thing in different ways, shapes and forms, is to strengthen and grow and nurture our relationship with the light force of the Creator. People are sent to us to help us with that. That's maybe the first sentence we should have started off today was, in this conversation, do not forget that the goal is always to strengthen our relationship with the light force of the Creator. Your innermost circle should be the people in your life, the one or two people, or even three people, if you're lucky, that support you to grow that relationship and reflect to you the ways that you're not growing it, or you may be getting in your own way, or whatever's in your blind spot. And then you have another circle, and they are probably going to be a little bit more triggering and a lot more button pushing and a lot more irritating and annoying, but they're also part of your journey to help you strengthen your relationship with the light force of the Creator, because they're showing you the stuff you need to work on. And then when you open yourself up to the entire office, right? All of the cubicles can help you with your relationship with the Creator, because the horizontal interactions that we have with other people are really there so that we'll develop the vertical connection we have with the Creator. So even though you may say, oh, this person, and by the way, I said it myself, I have a few good friends that I feel that I get so much from our relationship, and I feel like I could never give them back for what they've given me. Is it really between me and them? Only in the respect that my opportunity to share with them is what strengthens my relationship with the light force of the Creator.
Beautiful, beautiful. So what do you think are some of the main challenges that people are going through this week with respect to the topic that we just discussed?
That's a great question. Well, I think it would be remiss of us if we didn't talk about the holidays coming up and the stress, the expenses, the traveling, the anticipated family reunions and things that the end of the year brings to people.
Okay, so I'll say one thing about that, because every time, this is something that I connect with, and I'm always sharing this with people, for myself and for others. Every time you are anxious about something that's coming up, we usually start to go into a defensive mode to try to protect ourselves. What I would suggest is to completely flip your consciousness and get extremely excited about the uncomfortable, anxious encounter you're about to have. And look at and thank the Creator for this opportunity to go into something that is not clear to you how it's going to come out. We have to learn how to shift our energy so that when we walk into a room, we are so comfortable, regardless of who's there, what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Is it going to be uncomfortable? Is someone going to say something triggering? None of that should matter, because we feel we are so whole, so certain, so powerful. Our energy is so infectious. And we know we are going there to remove darkness. Like, we literally should believe that we are going to be a light upon darkness. I'm not saying that the people are the darkness. I'm saying that if there is any negative consciousness that's going to come up, it's okay. Vibrationally, I will be able to snuff it out. I will be able to transform dark to light. And so now, instead of being the effect of what is about to come into your life, we're learning to be the cause. Everything should be causal. We should always look at, you know what, it's uncomfortable. I don't know what's happening, but I know I got to go. Flip it on its head and say, wait, I'm going to go and be a force of light. I don't know how, but I'm choosing to be right now. Already you can feel that the anxiety melts away. Anxiety isn't because you're worried that something bad is going to happen. Anxiety is actually a higher power, your higher self trying to enter you, and we're pushing it out. We're not letting it in. We're holding on to the old us. That's what anxiety is. Stress and anxiety, we think, is something someone is causing us. Stress and anxiety is the surrounding light, my higher soul trying to enter me, to elevate me, but I'm not ready to let it in because I'm holding on to the old me. So to realize, once again, all these people in our lives are illusions. They are there just as triggers, nothing more than that. Everything is about your relationship with the light of the Creator, and you at any moment can choose how you want to feel.
Doesn't always feel that way, though.
It doesn't always feel that way. But part of it is, and I'm not saying I'm like that, but why we're sharing this, we're sharing it with ourselves. We're putting this vibration out there to remind ourselves, because there's 8 billion people out there whose consciousness is saying otherwise. 8 billion people who are saying the only way to be successful is to be reactive. The only way to be happy is to be reactive. The only way to be wealthy is to be reactive. And just to follow your feelings and follow your reactions and be the effect, and let your tikkun and all your negativity be your driving force in this world. But we know you're building a house of cards. You may build something, but it will fall apart eventually. We want long-lasting blessings. We want to do things that from the seed level invites the light of the Creator and has powerful consciousness.
And in those moments where, there's an argument or people are being themselves, when it's hardest for you to see how you can be the cause, where the goodness is, how this can be a positive experience, remind yourself the light is here. Like that, to me, when I am in a something scary or fearful, or even just something I'm not excited about, I remind myself the light is here. You don't have to be spiritual. You don't have to be in a room of spiritual people or in a house of worship for the light force of the Creator to be there. Part of the responsibility of hearing these words, if you will, is you have to bring the light. And in the same way that there's all these paradoxes in physics. If you see the particle, if you don't see the particle, your consciousness determines your reality. So if you state the light is there, the light is absolutely there. And that's a really important consciousness as we come up to the new moon of Capricorn, which is this Wednesday. The new moon of Capricorn falls in the holiday of Hanukkah, so it does give us an extra support. But on the Kabbalistic calendar, Capricorn is one of the more challenging months of the year, actually, paradoxically as well, not because it's a dark month, but because the filtration system, the light filtration system, which, similar to ozone or sunblock, protects us from the harmful rays of the sun, that spiritual ozone is lacking in the month of Capricorn, and that intensity of light can feel dark, can feel harsh, can feel negative. And so as we go through this new month, not the whole month, speaking about Wednesday specifically, being in that state of affinity with the light, being the cause, being the creator, being kind, being generous, being your best self, leaves that impression in the seed of the month and allows that to replicate every other day of the month. It's also important to remember that as we think about end of year and start to think about New Year's resolutions, and it's really a great time, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned it last week, to take some space, to take some time aside, to sit down. And it's a great month in that sense for planning, but not doing, for strategizing, for researching, for sketching, for imagining, but not actually setting into motion. We'll talk in the coming months about how that energy, the next 3 months after the month of Capricorn, are like full pedal to the metal, full, just like do as much as you can, sleep less, be more active, plant as many seeds as possible, because that's prime time, energetically speaking, on the Kabbalistic calendar. So it's like a dormancy that we're going into in order to be firing on all thrusters in the 3 months that follow.
I love that. My final takeaway is going back to the first point. Remember that your redemption can come in the blink of an eye. Already believe energetically you are there in order to attract the energy. If you are waiting or anticipating something, you have opposite forms with the miracle you're trying to seek. And as a result, the miracle cannot come.
And how does the miracle come?
I just said it, affinity of form.
What is that? That only makes sense if you've heard it before.
Well, I think I said it in the earlier in the podcast, which is when you switch from waiting to receive, and you make a decision that the energy is already there, and you feel that energy and you connect to it, because the mind is very powerful. It can connect to whatever you decided to connect to. So I try to connect to that energy now of whatever it is that I'm waiting for. And then I realize I don't have to wait anymore, because everything starts to occur at that moment.
Beautiful. That's it. All right. Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can visit our website, weeklyenergyboost.com, where we feature all of the things that we feel are important for our listeners to know about and to connect with. Check it out. You can also click the donate button and support our podcast, as well as share this episode, rate and review it wherever you're listening to it. And we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.